Hey everybody, and welcome to another comics loving episode of Words, Images, and Worlds. Always delighted to be talking to a fellow Jason in the community of comics and creators, and delighted on this episode to be talking with comics creator Jason Reeves. Thank you so much for jumping in and joining.
And thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. I'm always excited to talk comics, you know?
Yeah, yeah. We can also talk about the popularity of the name Jason, if you like. I went
Oh
to
yeah.
school with like 30 people, and at least five of us were named Jason, so there's that.
We had a couple back during my school years, and my son is Jason as well.
Oh,
So,
nice,
you
nice.
gotta revitalize and reissue the Jason name
That's
whenever you
right.
get a chance. Yeah, yeah.
Branding and carrying the lineage. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So I'll mention a couple of titles, and then of course, you're welcome to throw in anything that I might miss or that you want to highlight. But Pax Samson being one of
Mhm.
those, One Nation, Kid Carver being 133. Is it 133 art? Is that how you style that?
I mean, it's any way anybody wants to espouse it. I say 133.
133 art. 133
Yeah,
art.
yeah. But people say 133. It's the same thing. Same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Either way.
yeah. Sure, sure. Well, I'll say 133 art, and so I know those are books that come through that, and be glad to talk about that publishing venture as well. But curious about what it was about the world of comics that made you go, "This is the thing for me. This is where my creativity fits."
Um, I've always loved like cartoons and stuff, like since,
Mhm.
very little. So just the world of cartoons, like superhero cartoons and stuff like that
Mhm,
back when I
mhm.
was very little. And I've always been able to draw. Like I think since maybe 3 years old, I would just sit at the table and doodle. I'd watch my mom, she'd be on the phone and she'd doodle little grapes, and then I'd take them to the nth degree and doodle them a little bit more. And
Oh,
I used
nice.
to draw Michael Jackson and all kinds of stuff. So uh it just when I was 8 years old, I was introduced to my first comic and by my friend Mark. And he was an older kid. He was about, I think he was like 12 or something like that.
Mhm,
And he was into X-Men. And that's where I learned about X-Men Classic. I think it was Byrne and Claremont.
mhm,
And
mhm.
man, ever since I was like, yo, this is the greatest thing ever. It's sort of marrying cartoons or images with writing. And
Yeah.
I've always been into stories, action adventure stories, horror stories, and the whole gamut. And just marrying that, the art with the storytelling, it was like a match made in heaven for me. So ever since then, I kind of knew that that's what I wanted to do.
Nice, nice. We are kind of looking into, I'm assuming this is your studio space at the
Yeah,
moment. So I'm
yeah.
going to shout out some of the very cool things that you have happening in the background there. It looks like maybe a Superman and maybe a
We have
Vulture.
Okay, so we have Michael Keaton Vulture.
Uh-huh,
We
uh-huh.
have let's see. Okay. We have Sam Wilson Cap.
Nice,
We
nice.
have Goku over there posing,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and guy that's like looks like Goku took him out is Neo from the Matrix.
Nice, nice.
Morpheus, Trinity, and a modded Grifter from the Wildcats. And then
Cool.
various posters like X-Men, some early comics from 133 art over here, and all the way over here. Um, I used to work with Hasbro back in my concept days.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing the Wolverine Origins, the first Wolverine movie, and those are
Yeah,
the toy merch tie-ins that I worked on. So uh
nice.
yeah, so there's a lot. And then you'll see like I have stitch staplers and paper and all my printing equipment, 3D printers and stuff. So this is the 133 art workshop essentially. And
Nice.
where the man cave stuff spills over
Sure,
into the
sure.
workshop, obviously.
I mean, you
You
can't keep
can't
Michael
see.
Keaton Vulture in a corner, you
Oh, you
know.
cannot keep him in a corner. No, he has to be up somewhere. You can't see, but over here, there's the Bat family,
Nice.
and they're sitting on top of uh um the Batwing.
Oh, nice,
So
nice.
all I collect six scale 12-inch superhero toys.
Uh-huh.
So I got a ton of them around here. That's
Love
not
it.
even the display case. This is just the overflow.
Nice, nice. Do you have a preferred way of creating a preferred medium? Just thinking about your studio space here.
Um I'm trained as an illustrator.
Mhm.
So drawing, Photoshop, Manga Studio, that's kind of like the go-to, right? I don't like to call myself a traditional writer, but I do like to create stories.
Mhm.
So I'm always writing or jotting down notes or collaborating with actual writers, to create like One Nation stories and all the 133 art titles.
Mhm.
Um, so if I had a preference, like if I was gonna sit down on a desert island for the rest of my life, I would draw.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be my thing. But I like to do a whole bunch of things. I dabble in 3D printing, you know. All of our comics, our titles are printed in-house.
Mhm.
So all the equipment back there, there's a printer over here you can't see. All of that is printed here at 133 Art Studios. So
Nice.
anytime you're buying stuff, all of this stuff is from conception to physical copies. They're coming from here.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I try to do as much from conception to physical as we can here.
Love it. What was the inspiration behind 133?
Uh, I always tell people they're gonna be so disappointed. There's really no grand impetus behind it. Um, 133 was the first, like when you're going to get your first email address.
Yeah. Mhm.
Well, 133 was the number that they put behind the J Reeves name. And I
Oh,
was like, that's
perfect.
kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
um I was back in Portland and my mentor, Lee Moyer, was like, you need a website. And I was like, okay. He's like, and this was like 2006. And he was like, you need a website. What are you gonna call it? And I was like, I don't know. Jason Reeves, but that sounded, I don't know, pretentious, maybe. I don't know. It didn't sound like a grand website. But then I was like, I love art.
Mhm.
And I was
Mhm.
like, the 133 seems like a really good number. And now it's sort of, I don't know, written on my heart now. Like every time I see 133 in conjunction anywhere, I'm like, that's me, you
That's
know.
right. That's right.
Um, so it's not a grand story. It's
I
just
love the story. I love
one
it. Yeah.
thing led to the other. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and more than that, you've taken those steps creatively. That's like the step in the direction of kind of sharing your vision with the world. So that's a very cool thing.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so. I think I liked it. And a lot of times I go with my gut. And my gut was like, that sounds good. That sounds
Hmm.
good to you.
Yeah. Um, so we mentioned before I hit record someone named Tim Fielder, and so
Ah,
I'm curious about the folks along the way that have been supportive and collaborative, and I believe I've also talked with one of your collaborators, Rashad Doucette, as well.
oh yeah.
Hmm.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah. So obviously Tim, um creator of Infinitum, one of my favorite graphic novels in recent times. Shout out to Tim.
Hmm.
Rashad, obviously. Rashad and I both are from Louisiana. And
Oh,
Rashad is actually my best friend in the world. So shout out Rashad. We just spent Thanksgiving together
oh,
with our
nice,
respective
nice.
families. And he's my collaborator on Pax Samson.
Hmm.
So yeah, I've been blessed to meet and maintain relationships and even friendships with a lot of creators in the indie sphere, in the Black indie sphere.
Hmm.
And I feel like I'm overflowing with good friends, like and good collaborators.
That's
I
awesome.
jotted a couple of them down. Let's see. Uh Alvern Ball, writer extraordinaire, novelist. Um, he is my collaborator on Kid Carvers.
Hmm.
Maya Crown Williams, um, creator of the MechaCon convention circuit. She had been one of my biggest supporters and became one of my best friends throughout the years, and we've collaborated on several things together. She's not with us anymore, but we'll always miss her, and shout out to her. Um, Michael Young of the Nerd Soul podcast, another comics media podcast, and good
Nice,
friend of
nice.
mine. We collaborate all the time. Great guy. Milton Davis and Andre Owens and I created a short-lived. It ran for almost 3 years. Indie comic book distribution service called Big Distro, which
Hmm.
was really cool. A really fun and important, I think, uh, rung we were trying to add to indie creation, because the one thing that indie creators and Black indie creators in the microcosm, I think, need is distribution. And
Hmm.
we were trying to fill that need. um Again with Milton on one of our award-winning comics, Changa and the Jade Obelisk.
Hmm.
Milton and his company MV Media, he wrote and created the Changa Safari series, and it's a series of novels. I think it's 5 at this point, and we adapted the comic book version of that. And more recently, a guy named Brian Lambert of Wingless Comics, another comic indie joint. We're doing several new things coming in the new year, so I've had an overflow of good collaborators, business partners, and friends. Like, my mentor has a saying: "More hands make light work,"
I
and
like that.
really, really does. So I'm a big proponent of it.
Love it. Love it. I love the warm community of it. It sounds like a good place to be.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Um, we try to overdo it by being like really supportive and helpful with each other. I
Mhm.
think uh that's what we need, man. We need to build up the community more. I mean, it's good, but man, it could be better. And
Right, right.
we really want to continue that collaborative energy, man. Like, it's really good right now.
Yeah, yeah. I always like to ask about sort of milestones, or you mentioned a couple of titles there, and we mentioned a couple earlier, but any particular work that you would point to that might be a milestone for you, or that you're really passionate about sharing about at the moment?
Oh, totally, totally.
Hmm.
So this 2023, 2023 was our 11th year in business.
Wow.
So we've been running for a little over a decade, and I'm very proud of that particular milestone.
Hmm.
But our flagship comic is called One Nation.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's like I said earlier, I love superhero comics, so our first book had to be a superhero book, and it's about a guy named Deacon Taylor who has had these superhuman, super strong abilities his entire life, but he's been taught to hide them, and his unit gets ambushed in the first Desert Storm while he's in theater, and he decides to use his abilities to save them, and instantly becomes like the first superhero in that universe, and the most famous person on the planet, and
Hmm.
everybody wants to get a piece of him, and he's navigating this new world. So um in 2012, when we first published One Nation, um it was it was so it was the first full comic I've ever drawn and written. Alvern, my other collaborator,
Hmm.
co-wrote it with me, and it was just crazy how we were able to put that together. And now we're about 8 issues in, 9 issues in on One Nation, and the
Hmm.
first story arc we've just completed it. and we're calling it
Nice.
One Nation Arc One, and it's the completion of the first story, the first journey of Paragon and his cohorts, the 10th Foundation, and we're super proud of it. Like it's 11 years in the making, and you can get it now at the website and actually on Facebook and on TikTok. We have two shops there, a shop there and a shop on TikTok.
Nice.
Um, and we're so proud of it. It's a 6 issue arc, and it kind of just runs down the first story of where Paragon starts in Desert Storm to where he ends in LA. And we can't wait to do more, and it's very exciting. Like it's just my first story arc, man. I'm just so excited that it's done. And we speaking of collaborators, I couldn't do the art for the entire series, so
Mhm.
we enlisted a great illustrator named Mario Torrisi, and he is killing it on every issue, every subsequent issue of One Nation. And Arc Two is in production right now, and he's the artist for that one, and it is amazing what this guy can do with a page.
Nice.
And shout out Walt Barna, our colorist, who is also equally amazing. So we've got some really good stuff cooking if you like superhero comics.
And who doesn't really, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, very cool, very cool. And sounds like just the world building you do really fascinates me with
Oh, thanks.
the characters, the exploration, and really fascinating concepts.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
we're trying to the main thing is to create a world of superheroes who would save me, or who would
Mm-hmm.
save my community. A lot of times we get superheroes through the lens of white creators, like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and and that's great, that's been fine, but at the same time, I'm I've always been compelled to create stories around my culture and my in the creativity that goes on there, right? And we're at a
Yeah.
great time where we see a lot of black faces, a lot of POC and minority faces in media,
Mm-hmm.
especially in comics media, which is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
But um the more nuance, and finally we're getting nuance, the more
Yeah.
nuance we have and the more people behind the scenes that are of those cultures is dope. But the we could get even more nuanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
compels me to create stuff that comes from where I'm from, where I live and my culture and my traditions. So One Nation is sort of a project in attesting and doing that, right? Like
Awesome.
Paragon is from New Orleans, Louisiana. He's of that culture and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of black dude. So, we're trying to build this world out from that guy. And
Nice.
it's been fun, man. It's super fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great work. And I continue to see like, ALA and these different organizations will do like pie charts that kind of show you like the representation across children's books or comics or different things. And there's definitely room for that dial to move even more. So that's awesome. Awesome work.
Yeah. We're at a
Yeah.
good time. We just, as long as creators of color are getting in there and able to tell their stories and able to say what they need to say, man, we're doing great. Like,
Hmm.
it's a very exciting time, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a website. I definitely want to hit
Mhm.
that. Anything that's upcoming that you'd like to mention, and places where people can connect to sort of be part of the universe or to check it out.
Oh, totally, totally. So 133art.com is the hub.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's where you can find everything 133 art. We have comics, merchandise, like bomber jackets and hoodies and stuff like that with our characters.
Nice.
We also have a gallery of artwork because I'm still a freelance illustrator. So if you want to see some Jason artwork, it's there. We also have an ArtStation page where I go a little bit more into like workflows and how I design characters and stuff like that.
Hmm.
If you're if you're a process geek like me. Um and so yeah, 133 Art is the hub. And then we also have we're on every social media as either at 133 Art or 133 Art Publishing. And we have a TikTok shop, we have a Facebook, Instagram shop, and we're all YouTube page, we're all over the place. We
Nice.
just joined Blue Sky.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, the other Twitter.
Yes, yeah. The invitation only Twitter. That's
Exactly,
yeah.
the invitation only. So yeah, so we just joined that, and yeah, we're trying to uh push more into the industry. Um I have some upcoming work with Scholastic. I've been doing freelance stuff with them
Cool.
coming
Very
in the new
cool.
year. Hopefully in January. I'm still under NDA and can't talk about it, but hopefully something shows up
Yeah.
then. And I'm getting more into pitching books to other publishers. So hopefully um we'll be able to talk about next time a new book that's coming out, a
Yeah.
la OGN, like Pax Samson.
Hmm.
So we're working it out. So yeah, next year is
Awesome.
starting off pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds exciting and sounds like you have lots of things going on, and I'll make sure to link the website in the show notes, pop up for
Yes.
the video, and I'll also at your YouTube channel as well.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Of course, of course. Anything that we missed in the talk through that you want to make sure to mention before we close out?
Nah, man, I think we hit it. I mean, I guess I'd say to the audience, especially the creators in the audience, get your work out there.
Hmm.
Just keep going, Like you
Hmm.
don't necessarily have to be in with the big publishers to create these days. Um, get online and just start building, talking to people and showing your stuff off, Don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah.
And let's get you represented as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there's a lot of great work out there that gets done and then gets crumbled up and people get discouraged. So great message. Great
Yeah,
message.
absolutely.
All right. Well,
Cool.
thank you so much, Jason, and may the conversation continue. Glad to have you back anytime to talk about projects and other such things.
Awesome. Awesome. Happy to come back anytime.
Sounds great. Thanks so much.